Hello and welcome. Um, we're going to look at the study of Confucius. I'm sure you're already very familiar with who Confucius is. Confucius is one of the most learned, one of the greatest scholars of all time, one of the most respected personalities in history. Confucius, Shakespeare, um, these kind of great personalities, Aristotle, Plato, uh, they are some of the greatest scholars of all time. Confucius, of course, is the greatest. He's arguably the greatest Chinese scholar of Chinese origin uh, that ever was. Of course, there are other rival um, personalities like Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu wrote the Tao Te Ching, but Confucius is definitely rated the greatest. It's about the greatest. I believe Confucius is the greatest Chinese scholar of all time, and he has such tremendous weights, heavy weights of studies, scholarly accomplishments like Mencius. They are some of the greatest personalities who helped to develop the Chinese thought. Now, Confucius, if you read, if you've really studied, if you've not studied him, well, this will be my introduction of Confucius to you. But if you've read, if you've studied his works, his Analects, the Great Learning, you studied some of his works, the I Ching, the Oracle, the 64 hexagrams, and all this. He is not the inventor of the I Ching, but he's the great developer. He developed the I Ching more than any other personality in Chinese history. Confucius is very great. If you studied him, you really appreciate these words that I'm uttering at this time. Confucius is first class, is superb. He devoted his whole life to delving into studies. He really studied a lot. So it's a person that really, it's a great achiever, one of the greatest in the whole history of humankind. So I'm going to first of all go ahead and read some of the most profound sayings of Confucius, and then we go ahead and try to contemplate this discourse. I read. Confucius declares, know the point of rest, know the point of rest, and then have an orderly mode of procedure. Know the point of rest, and then have an orderly mode of procedure. Having an orderly mode of procedure, one can grasp the azure. Having this orderly procedure, one can grasp the azure. That is, take hold of a clear concept. Holding a clear concept, one can be at peace internally. Being thus calm, one can keep one's head in moments of danger. He who can keep his head in the presence of a tiger is qualified to come to his deed in due hour. This is a little clip from the great works of Confucius. And we analyze, what is Confucius talking about here? Uh, the first things I love about this is that before Isaac Newton, you see, if you somebody studied science, physics, okay, we now live in a world of great scientific and technological achievement. For instance, I'm teaching you this particular uh, class based on science and technology. I'm not really seeing you, my student, but I'm able to teach using the internet. Uh, this is great scientific and technological achievement of the new millennium that we live in today. So, but what is so spectacular about these words I just read to you is that before Isaac Newton, the father of physics, Isaac Newton lived about maybe some centuries back now, before Isaac Newton, thousands of years before Isaac Newton, here is Confucius with these great ideas of physics. Confucius was not a physicist. Where comes the physics? See, I studied physics, engineering physics, decades back in the university. So I know about physics. I know about Newton. I know about Newtonian mechanics. I know about Einsteinian, science, Riemannian geometry, Euclidean geometry. All this, we studied all these aspects of mathematics and physics and mathematical physics. Decades back, I was in college, 86 to 90, studying engineering physics. 1986 to 1990 is a long time ago. So I have a solid physics background, a solid engineering background. So here is Confucius. If you go through these words, maybe I should go through it one more time, real quick. Know the points of rest. Did you hear that word, rest? The word rest, that's Newtonian. And then have an orderly mode of procedure. He's defining physics. Confucius is, he said, where is this coming from? You see, there was nothing like physics. Okay, there's nothing like physics. This is thousands of years back. What's Confucius? I'm trying to go into his intelligence here, and it's incredible, the genius of physics in Confucius. Confucius has nothing to do with science, nothing to do with technology, nothing to do with engineering. What's going on here? He's talking about rest and procedure. Isaac Newton, that's Newton's first law of motion. A body will continue in a state of rest, right? Or uniform motion, except a force. The force of friction. Some forces causes it to do otherwise. Newton's law of motion. So Confucius is technically going into this. Now, when we deal with physics, we deal with matter, anything that has weight and occupies space. We deal with masses, matter. Okay, and when we're dealing with matter in physics, we're dealing with matter and energy. And in order to deal with matter and energy, we're going to be dealing with potential energy, kinetic energy. The energy something has because it's at rest, the potential energy. The kinetic energy, the energy something has when this potential energy translates, it begins to move. Now, where did Confucius get his ideas from? Confucius lived thousands of years before Isaac Newton. And Newton is the one spelling out his laws. And Newton lived in England. Confucius lived in China. So it just shows you the power, the kind of wonderful, I don't know whether to start from saying God or man or genius or what. I mean, the observation, the powers of observation of this genius that Confucius is. I mean, as a scientist, I can penetrate the man, and it's tremendous. What is Confucius talking about? Incredible scientific genius in this non-scientific personality. God or genius or what? Okay, I'll just go through it one last time, and then we'll really leave you to rest, because if I go through this for the next 6 hours, you will still be, it needs your own genius, your own intellect, your own intelligence to go and weigh these words carefully and really deliberate on them and see the science and power of thought that Confucius has here. Know the point of rest, and then have an orderly mode of procedure. Having this orderly procedure, one can grasp the azure. That is, take hold of a clear concept. It's so precise, so powerful. Holding a clear concept, one can be at peace internally. Incredible. Being thus calm, one can keep one's head in moments of danger. He who can keep his head in the presence of a tiger is qualified to come to his deed in due hour. You can't beat that. It's unbeatable. So he summarized life and the activities of life and all of science and all of physics in just one little paragraph, one statement. Confucius is really powerful, and I don't know where he got his ideas from. A body is either at rest or in motion. This is where the whole physics comes from. Matter, mass, a body, velocity is 0, then velocity is v. VI, where I is an integer. A body is either at rest or is no longer at rest, it's in motion. This is the whole foundation of physics. And mass times velocity, momentum, it begins to move. If it's not moving, it's at rest. And then they start calculating the velocity, then the acceleration, and then the rest is mathematics. The rest is just mathematical physics. So these are basic, very powerful observations. Remember Isaac Newton sitting under the tree and observing the gravitational, he was watching, I think, apples or oranges, something, apples falling from the tree. And the force of gravity, still the same thing. It's either the body is at rest or it's in motion or it's back to rest. When the object from the tree, the fruit of the tree drops, is pulled by gravity, is moving with gravitational pull. Now it's in motion. When it falls to the earth, it stops, it's at rest. This is the whole foundation of physics. Matter, energy, derived from, motion. A body at rest, the velocity is zero, and then it begins to move, and then it comes to rest again. And then from there, everything, the whole of physics, and most of engineering, all these things, they start getting their derivatives. Every other thing moves into calculus, mathematical physics, and all the rest of it. We did all this decades back in college. But what is thrilling, thought-provoking, and really I want you to pay attention here too, is the fact that Confucius did not have any connection with Isaac Newton. He lived thousands of years before Isaac Newton. He did not live in England. Isaac Newton has no connection with Confucius either. He lived in England thousands of years after. Isaac Newton is there, observing his laws, gravitational laws, physics. And then these things just completely agree. These ideas are in agreement. These guys are total different parts of the earth at different times, and they're making similar observation. So this, I think, is very thought-provoking, is very powerful, and the rest, I'll leave the rest to you to contemplate and continue the deliberation from there and the contemplation from there, because the discourse that could come out from this is boundless. There is no limitation to this discourse. But the important thing is that here is Confucius, thousands of years before physics and Isaac Newton's laws and the foundation of physics, the way we know physics today, technically defining the laws, talking about physics, observation of things at rest and things now moving and what it means in an orderly form and how it arrives back to rest again. It's incredible. And this is not the only verse, mind you. I'm going to discuss other verses later. If you read that whole Confucian principle, it talks about a bird again, another bird that comes down to rest. Confucius is a physicist thousands of years ago. I mean, this is not an accident. Don't think this verse repeats itself many, 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 many times in different forms. I mean, he says it again and again in so many other ways. This is just a theme of what Confucius discusses. So it's such a great observation to see that these great minds of the past were so great that they had a lot of science in them without science being defined the way we know it today. So I leave that deliberation to you. Cheers.